it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day, pulling into a weekend. Today's Friday, and I am excited about this video thought for the day. Why? Because sometimes life calls for a party. Celebration moments are right before the Lord. We've just finishing up Rosh Hashanah, Happy New Year, Lashana Tov to my Jewish listeners, a time of celebration. And I was reading this morning in an Old Testament book, 1 Chronicles chapter 12, talking about when Israel's civil war ended. This was a civil war where David was king in the south and Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, king in the north. For 6 years plus, they'd been at odds. And it finally came a time where all Israel was uniting behind David. And so the uniting was declared, and troops came down from the north to join David in the south in Hebron. And they brought leaders of the communities, they brought their families, they brought food. They brought oxen and sheep to eat with flour to make bread and good substance soups. And they brought clusters of raisins and figs, and they brought all the makings for a great party. And for 3 days, they celebrated the reunion of Israel as one group of 12 tribes. And this was after a tough time. I mean, David and his followers had been through the ringer. They had lived on the run while Saul was king. And they'd had to, at one point, even move into Ziklag, which was in the Philistine-controlled area, because Saul was pressing them. So they'd lived in caves. Families had been disrupted. The distrust abounded. People were being killed in conflict. David was separated from much of his family. And then the time came when the civil war was over. And Israel was reunited. And it is such a joyful time of celebrations. The festivities that lasted 3 days had to have been rich with joy and excitement over not only what had finished, the page that's been turned, but over what the next page might look like. You know, life comes in cycles. Ecclesiastes explains in great words that there is a time to weep and there's a time to laugh. There is a time to mourn and there is a time to dance. It's Ecclesiastes 3:4. And we're good at knowing those times to weep and mourn. I mean, they can't be missed. It's what hits you straight in the face and is devastating. But I wonder sometimes if we fail to recognize the times where we should be celebrating in the Lord. We should recognize that there are times that call for joyful thanksgiving. And it doesn't have to just come the fourth Thursday of November. Thanksgiving, joyful celebrations are right before the Lord, often during the year. And we may miss those, but it's good to plan festivities that celebrate God, His goodness, and His care for us. He sees us through those rough times. He sees us through cycles of difficulty, and He'll place our feet on high ground above the fray. And at those times, it's right, and He teaches us to celebrate Him. So if you're going through a time where you ought to be celebrating, I'm telling you right now, plan it. It's not too late. This weekend, next week, today. Take someone out to lunch. Celebrate. Have a good time giving thanks to God. That's why I made this your video thought for today.